Hello, educators. I have just a few quick questions to ask you before we get into this case design. Let me just ask you this. Are you concerned about how you're going to fund retirement and private school and college? Are you currently paying for private school and you're thinking that I'm going to send my children to wonderful private schools and then they're going to get a full ride? What happens when you find out that's wrong and your students don't get a full ride despite having this amazing private school resume? What about those of you who are in transition? Maybe you're in the process of getting a divorce. What about you? Are you making decisions that are actually going to come back to haunt you? Now, educators, listen, there are 101 ways that I can teach this session. So please, if I don't cover a specific point that you have in mind, then that's even more reason why you need to set up a session with me so we can talk further about how to help you. Let me walk you through a case study here. In this particular case study, I am showing you how a couple who where the mother was an educator and they got a divorce, and how when they made certain financial decisions, it ended up hurting their kids or their children's financial aid eligibility, and they didn't even know that it was happening. Let's walk through this scenario here. You can see here that this couple jointly made $200,000, or that was their adjusted gross income. You can see that the father made 120 grand. And you can see that the mother made 120 grand. We can see that they're contributing substantial dollars to qualified plans. And then we can see here their federal taxes. Now, and then down here with the assets, we can see that they had jointly $25,000 in cash and checking and savings, and then $70,000 in investments. And we can see a total of retirement accounts of 425. So they get the divorce, right? Okay, so now because the mother in this particular case is the custodial parent, we take a second look and we can see here that her adjusted gross income is 100,000, her earned income is 120. We can see that she still is contributing substantial dollars to a qualified plan retirement account. And we can see the taxes that she's paying. But we see down here a complete difference in the way that the finances are structured. And this is very important. So you can see here that $5,000 is in cash and checking and savings. We see $50,000 in a college 529 plan, and then we see investments. Now, then we also see her retirement plan. But what I want to get to is this point here. Let's look at this. What we're going to look at is the estimated EFC, or expected family contribution. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this term. Most of you are. You probably remember this from when you were in college. Well, in this particular case here, we can see that before the divorce, the EFC of the family was $61,000 and some change. In other words, that's one of the formulas that they use to determine eligibility for scholarships and grants. But we can see afterwards, the EFC of the parent drops all the way down to $31,000 and some change. And that scenario improves the financial aid eligibility by over $150,000. Now, let's walk slowly here because I want to show this point to you. You can see here that before they got a divorce, there was no money in the college savings plan. And then through whatever decisions that they made, they put $50,000 into that plan. Let me show you something here. This right here is the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid application. And in it, it gives you various instructions on how they look at funding. Well, you can clearly see here, if you read this all the way through, if you start with investments include, it talks about how they look at the money that has been saved in college savings platforms. And then down here, you can see how 529 plans and 529 prepayment plans are looked at. So what happens is, unfortunately, what parents don't know is that they are putting money into an accessible assets, which simply means that before a college is going to distribute funding, they have the privilege of discounting your scholarships and grants or your children's scholarships and grants by the dollar amount that you have in those types of plans. Well, guess what? Most parents don't know. So when they were making their decisions during the divorce process, they had no idea that that $50,000 was going to cut into this huge increase in potential financial aid eligibility. Ladies and gentlemen, when you receive, your student receives their first award letter, which is typically around December or January of this high school senior year, that's when they send a summary report that shows you the funding that they are offering that student. What they don't tell you is how they came up with that number. That's the reason why this data is so important, because it gives the student and the parent insight into what to expect from a funding perspective and how the income and assets of the parents can negatively impact the eligibility for scholarships and grants. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, educators, if you want to learn more about this process, I would love to do a group seminar for your school or your group, or even you individually, and show you how this process works and the steps that you need to take to protect yourself from making what we call the $300,000 education funding mistake. Register below and let's have a conversation about the questions that you have and potentially doing a workshop for your group or you as an individual. I look forward to seeing you soon. Jeff Taylor, Pay Zero for College. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Take care now.